Welcome to my channel. Okay, so this is a continuation of the video I did last time. Okay, this is the part 2, another alternative to the wound healing balm. Wound healing cream. That was a cream, but this one I'm going to do today is going to be a balm, a form of a balm that you can use. So if you haven't watched my video I did the last time, my last video, please go back and watch it so that you can choose which one you're going to do or which is convenient for you. So you can take any of them and make them for your personal use and for emergency. All right, so we're going to go straight into the video to make our wound healing balm. Now don't go anywhere, I'll be right back. Just click on the subscription button if you haven't subscribed so you can get more of these wonderful videos. Welcome back. So these are the materials we're going to be using in today's video, and as you can see, today we're using herbs. Yeah, the other one we didn't use any herbs, so I'm going to be introducing my herbs to you. The first one, I'm working with peperomia, the shining bush. It's a common weed we see around. Okay, that's it on the screen, so you might be able to identify it. It's around, sometimes it grows in between blocks and on the floor around you. Yeah, we weed it off, but it's highly medicinal. So the next herb is my leaf of life, the miracle leaf, known as bryphilium pinnatum. Okay, most of you might recognize it with cough. Most of our moms use it for babies to stop cough and colic. Okay, so that's how it looks like. I have a small one I'm planting indoors. It grows, is an air plant. Yeah, it grows indoors. You can grow outdoor and indoors. You can see the stem already shooting out. I just place it inside water, and that little one is growing as a spare, apart from the one we have planted outside, which we always block from. I just have the small one indoors. Okay, so I use it for a lot of things. It's highly medicinal too. It's also good, very good for your wounds. So the next one you see there is the neem, the dogoyaro leaf. Yeah, it's another powerful herbs, taken internally and also good. I'm actually using it as a kind of antifungal in this recipe because I have a staff who has an antifungal, a fungal issue, so I want to also use this too as part of a treatment for her. Okay, so the next one there is my rosemary. Look at it, how tiny it is. Looks like the thyme, but it's the rosemary, similar to thyme. Now I'm also going to be using my chamomile. That's my chamomile there, which is, well, you must not use this. It's not compulsory you use this or use everything here. Yeah, it's not really compulsory. Just pick the ones you can get. They all work for the same purpose, wound healing herbs. Yeah, but the other herbs are the major ones I want to use, plus my antibacterial and antifungal herbs. Now this is my beeswax. I'm going to be using this to turn my oils into solid form. What I'm going to do with those herbs, I will infuse them into my oil. Then that's my honey. Okay, so the plan is to infuse the herbs into my oil. So after infusing it, I'm now going to use my beeswax to turn it into a solid form, into a balm. So I have my essential oils with me, which I'm going to be using. I'm going to be using my tea tree, which is antibacterial, my lemongrass. They're all antibacterial to also prevent bacteria from infecting your wounds. Okay, so while you're using it so it can uphold you until when you're ready to go, when you have access to go into the pharmacy to take maybe your tetanus injection, okay, but this balm will stand in that emergency when you cannot reach them, to help prevent bacteria from entering the wound while it's healing it. So even after that, you could still use it to treat the wound, to heal it gradually. Remember, this is natural, so natural heals gradually, but it works, and it's going to work for you. Okay, so now we're going to get into the process of infusing our herbs into our oil. Okay, so I'm going to be using my slow cooker pot, but you must not use this. I'm going to give you another method which you can use this. If you don't have a slow cooker pot, you can use that other alternative. Okay, so this is my slow cooker pot. Why I'm using it is because it's very slow in heating up the oils, because I want to keep all of it intact, and besides, I could cover it, give myself hours of time to come back. Okay, now the second alternative, if you don't have a slow cooker, is this, because I want to make sure that you're able to do it at home. Now you get a pot like this, put a water, it might not be this exact pot, any size of pot you have, put water inside, then you get a second pot on top, or a plate, stainless plate on top, which you're going to place on top, and then that's where you put your oil and your herbs inside. So as it's boiling, as the water is boiling, the fire is heating under the pot and it's boiling, it's heating your herbs inside that plate and infusing it into the oil. So it's called the double boiling method. That's an alternative to the slow cooker. I've always used this. I'm going to also use it when I'm heating up my beeswax. Okay, so but for this oil mix, I want to be using my slow cooker method, to use the slow cooker to infuse it. So like I said, you could always use the double boiling method to do yours. Okay, now I'll just simply need to crush my my herbs into the pot, and then all I have, I will need to pour my oil first of all into the pot. So I'm pouring in my oil. I'm using the canola oil. You could use sunflower, you could use coconut oil, you could use olive oil, but yeah, olive oil too. Any of those oils can go for your infusion of your herbs. Okay, but I'm using canola oil right now for this. Okay, so I'm having my neem leaves. It's actually a dry one, just spread it indoors, it will dry for you, while the other two herbs are fresh. Okay, so I'm going to crush them and cut them little by little so that they will be able to infuse properly into my oils. Okay, now the other one, if you want to dry them, you could also dry them a little, so that they don't be too fresh, because you have to, these ones will have a little bit of water. You need to make sure that your water is properly boiled, properly dried off, so that your oil doesn't get bad, or your balm doesn't go bad. Okay, so just make sure that you don't have water inside. If you have a little water underneath, don't allow it to enter into your herbs. So you must ensure that you boil out and it dries off the water underneath. If it doesn't dry, or you sieve it out and reheat the other one you sieved out a little bit, so that to make sure there is no water inside your oil that we're going to use. Okay, now you just crush all the entire leaves and then into your pot. Then we're going to be putting our oils, heating it up, turning on the heat. It's actually an electric cooker, which I'm going to show you. We turn on the heat and then we heat it up. Actually, there are so many kinds of different herbs you can use for wound healing, but I just pick these ones because they are common and you can easily get them around you. Okay, so that's the base. It actually has a base, and that's the light showing that is on. So I've connected it to the electric, and I'm going to set it up to leave it for the next 1 to 2 hours, depending on, but I'll be checking it. So within that rate, because it boils very slowly. Okay, so 1 hour 30 minutes to 2 hours should be okay. So now at this point my oil is ready. I have sieved it out. Sorry, I had to do that outside the camera. It was actually the next day I sieved it out. I didn't remember to capture that. Okay, so this is my oil. I've sieved my herbs away. You can see that the oil is no longer plain, that golden color is a kind of slightly green. So I'm going to be adding my beeswax into it. Now this is my beeswax. Is going to turn it into a balm, into a cream. Beeswax is a natural substance from the bees. Yeah, it's gotten from bee. So it's a wax which we're going to use. It has a very good moisturizing effect. Okay, so we're going to be adding it into the oil. What we're going to do, we're going to use our double boiling method to boil, to melt it. We're going to be melting the beeswax so that it can mix properly with our oil. So I'm going to be using my pot with water inside, and I'll drop it inside. So this time around I'm not using my slow cooker, I'm using my double boiling method. Okay, so I hope this is clear and we're following. Now with this method I'm going to put it on fire and then allow it to melt before I'll come and pour it into my container. So while it's on fire and I'm allowing it to melt, I'm preparing my containers, opening it up. Containers I'm going to use to pour them in. Ensure that all your things are set so that once it comes out, because you don't want to allow the beeswax to get cold. When it comes out, if you allow it to get cold, it becomes it turns solid immediately inside your plate, which you need to melt it all over again. Okay, so we arrange our containers and then pour our oils inside, and then we're also going to mix our what do they call, our essential oils into the mix. Okay, so that's my oil already melted with the beeswax and the oil. You can see how liquid it is. So the next stage I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be adding my my essential oils into it. So now I decided to add the rosemary to it, because rosemary, although I've used a little of the spice in it, I decided to add a little of the essential oil to boost the effects of the rosemary. Rosemary is good for your wounds. So I selected, and also the antibacterial properties, I selected my essential oils. Yes, your essential oil is not actually compulsory, it's optional provided you have your herbs. But if you have essential oil, go ahead and add it. It's going to boost your the activeness of the cream, okay, of the balm we're doing. So that's my rosemary, and I add my tea tree essential oil. Then we add our lemongrass essential oil. Remember what I said, some of the like the lemon, they are kind of antibacterial, which even the tea tree is also antifungal. That is also going to help to fight against fungal infection. Like I said, I'm making a kind of 2-in-1 for wounds and also for a kind of infection, antifungal, a fungal infection balm. Okay, so now I'm mixing it properly. I'm going to pour. I decided to skip out my honey. Yeah, I just decided not to add to this particular batch, since the other cream I used honey in it. So this one I just decided, but you can add it. Is a double dose if you want to add it to this one, but I decided to skip my honey out of it to add it, to just pour my oils into the cup. So I'm pouring my oils into the cup, yeah, to get them ready. Yeah, so my cups are all filled up with the oils. Now I'm going to keep it in the fridge to allow it solidify. You can keep it outside the fridge, but it will take a longer time, but there's no problem. Keep it outside the fridge and it will turn soft solid to this. So this is our balm, our wound healing balm. You just scoop a little from it on your wound, and there you go. So it's either you do the balm or the cream, anyone. So if you haven't watched the cream, the wound healing cream, go back to my last video and watch it. But this is the wound healing balm, herbal balms with some herbs, common weeds around, which are like they are weeds we throw away. Okay, so you can see the texture, you can see the balm, you can see you just scoop from it and then you apply to your wound. Thank you for watching. So if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do, so that you get more of wonderful videos like this, and click the notification button so that you get notified when I bring up new videos. Thank you and God bless you.